Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for recap of day number 4 of the world's world's Playins, not group. I don't know where that came from, but it's revolving around the group, and that is Group A. We had a crazy turn of events. Well, not too crazy, a little bit crazy considering where Legacy placed. I'm going to talk about the whole group stage holistically at the end of the video. But first, let's just jump into today's games for those who missed them. Let me just pull up the Leaguepedia so I see the draft. Supermassive vs Team Liquid was the hyped up matchup of the day. It was all about, I thought Team Liquid was better on paper, but I thought Supermassive could potentially have preparationary victories. They went for the Lilia first pick, and Lilia throughout this tournament in play-ins has been very, very bad. I think this champion is very, very overrated. It's a champion that needs to accomplish very, very much in the early game, and then there are some situations where she just can't do much. The tricky thing about her is hard CC counters her. People have realized that you can begin to lock in champions like Rakan. People are playing Leona. People are playing things like the Alistar now to counter her. Any type of hard CC is something that makes things very difficult for Lilia. I think Lilia is very strong level 1 and needs to constantly invade. Another key thing is that she needs an AD mid, and now with the Lucian nerf and with the Lucian level of play we've seen in play-ins, we've seen a massive drop-off because Lucian requires, decent execution, and the story of play-ins honestly has been ease of execution outside of potentially Team Liquid and also Unicorns of Love. But we will get to that discussion afterwards when we look to predict the groups and how the best of 5s are going to play out. This draft, Lilia first pick. The tricky thing is, you guys will notice in the draft between INTZ and Team Liquid, this is where Team Liquid would test a little bit more. I wanted Supermassive to look for something great and look for some type of situation where they get something out of this, but Team Liquid are playing full comfort. All the games that Team Liquid won, besides the one Lee Sin game, was won on Graves. Broxah does super well on Graves, and he's just stomping down on people, and it's very surprising to me that they decided to let this through. Later down the line, he didn't have Graves, lost a game on Lilia, he had one game on Lee Sin, and he was practically non-existent, which in all honesty was a big red flag for how bad Mad Lions was, considering Team Liquid practically won 4v5. Lee Sin was just hanging out, right? Nevertheless, Team Liquid continued with the same trend of Twitch Rakan. They banned Azir, Senna, and Nidalee, 3 picks that Supermassive had success on in the previous day. Of course, they didn't choose to ban the Lulu. I think Azir, Senna, and Nidalee makes a lot of sense. Orianna targeted at our boy Jensen. Orianna is something that has indeed 100% win ratio at this tournament so far, just because she covers all bases. Decent lane phase, scales super well, team fights super well, and that's usually the recipe for success when it comes to the play-ins. They went for the Wukong Nautilus, and this is where things get confusing. In a world where Wukong Nautilus gets blind picked, you look for the Malphite and you don't remove the Shen. This just feels like a preparationary mistake once again. But then again, you are banning so many champions to set up this Wukong. Shen, Malphite, Ornn, Mordekaiser, and you can even look to pick Maokai fourth, and there is a lot of champions that you can pick into Wukong, and you don't have to worry about it at all. That's why Wukong blind pick is a bit strange. Wukong is pretty decent into Lucian top, into Jace top, some of the range AD champions like Quinn, which are champions that don't see a lot of blind pick nowadays because of the nature of armor, even though these matchups that I've mentioned, the Lucian and the Jace, they have some potential to outplay in these matchups, so maybe Snowball is not that clear cut. I think Wukong isn't in the best state right now as a champion. Nautilus gets locked in. I think that's a fine matchup for Rakan, especially because a lot of AD carry bans are going to fall, and Nautilus Caitlyn isn't the strongest combination. Graves gets locked in naturally. They didn't pick it in 1-2 because Lilia, I think they were more comfortable with their champion pool when it comes to fourth picking top lane into Wukong, because once again, Wukong blind pick just makes this so much easier. They could have just picked their AD carry here, full bottom into Twitch Rakan. Like imagine you go Caitlyn Morgana as an example. That could be, good option into Twitch Rakan, and you could punish them pretty hard because Twitch Rakan lane phase is not that good. But Team Liquid spot lane definitely delivered this game. Graves gets picked. Shen as a counter to Wukong, it's actually unplayable for Wukong. You can do some research on Shending Help, his document. I strictly recommend it for anyone out there that wants to learn a Shen matchup, because all pro players use it. I use it. It's a good way because it describes the matchup, and on paper it makes a lot of sense, right? Shen has mixed damage, can itemize to counter Wukong completely. The key thing about tanks is Sunfire Cape is perfect against Wukong. You get armor and you do magic damage. Magic damage is something that Wukong doesn't like because his base MR is really low, and on top of that you can buy Bramble Vest, something that Wukong once again doesn't like either, because Wukong is going to go for Conqueror and his passive heals him a lot, and this is a big part of his kit in terms of survivability, especially because most Wukongs want to look for that death stance eventually, and this makes it a very easy lane for Shen. He can W block, he does magic damage, he has the full the full combination to beat a Wukong, can itemize very easily into it, so this is a very easy matchup for an experienced Shen player like Impact. Jhin, Akali. Akali, I think if you're not top 5 mid at Worlds, don't pick Akali. On top of that, you have Lilia mid, a Lilia jungle already, so the damage mix here is going to be very, very wonky, but I think Supermassive's playstyle is just play for top, play for bot, and let Bolulu do whatever. That's why they picked them Lulu, that's why they picked them Azir. This time around, Akali is a champion that needs a lot of attention, but picking Akali against champs like Graves and Rakan and Shen, and then it's blind pick on top of that, only with Azir and TF and Orianna ban, it's very tricky. Team Liquid chose to go Sylas 5th. The reasoning for it is, of course, Nautilus is a very juicy ultimate to have. Understandable. Akali, it's a playable matchup. Sylas is also a delivery force for Shen, so this is why they went for it. There was some discussion. I posted on Twitter that I would have loved to see a Lulu here, because Lulu is a very great denial against Wukong, very great denial against Akali. If you apply your Pixie on her, you actually see her in her shroud, because it gives you true vision. And on top of that, you have a Rakan. So I was thinking about the Lulu, but Sylas works just as well because you won the draft already in the first 4 picks. Team Liquid, like Supermassive, did a good rotation up top and looked like they got the first tower with the Rift Herald, but with that also Broxa pulled the trigger and took a Shen ult on him and managed to kill Lilia and Jhin. And after that, Team Liquid were very, very good at choosing the opportunities to fight, because Twitch is the perfect delivery system for Shen. Twitch is invisible, and so is Shen when he ults onto the Twitch, and then he pops out of nowhere. Shen just shows up like a ninja that he is, and Team Liquid played this out fairly clean. They did a little bit of a throw, but it was so late in the game when they had such a big advantage, it just didn't matter. So let's just call it a clean game. I don't know why I said queen game. Let's continue on to the next game, and this was a tragedy. We thought we saw enough tragedies already the previous day, but this was a massive tragedy. So I had the Lilia first pick again, Graves being open, Ornn being open. I think the meta in Playins was fairly obvious. I think the Trinity joke that Kadril and Trevor did on the cast made a lot of sense. Like, Graves was winning every game, Ornn was winning every game, and it wasn't necessarily, in my opinion, because there was the best teams were picking Ornn and Graves. No. I think, for me, in terms of level of play, after seeing all matches, I think, sure, there are differences, but I think draft was, like, execution, ease of execution in draft and just having sorted lanes is something that just is the difference maker in the end. Legacy versus Mad Lions, looking at this draft, Lilia first pick is just cursed. They banned Camille to make the enemy pick Ornn, which is strange. They banned Orianna away from Mad Lions. Okay. Even in this game, Mad Lions managed to hang on. I think Mad Lions' biggest hope is that individually Humanoid and Karzi are looking good. I think Orome is performing to expectation. Honestly, I didn't have that high expectations of him at all, but still he managed to disappoint a little bit. I don't know what kind of decisions come into the draft here, but when they were strictly picking, I don't know what this is, like Lilia, Comfort, I guess, for Shadow, and Syndra, also Comfort for Humanoid, and then Shen. Like, already here you have 3 champions that just don't make sense together. Not at all. Like, there is no synergy, and in no shape or form are they like really, really good into what's here. Like, sure, Syndra can do some things against the Graves. It's not too bad. Syndra is a strong blind pick because of it, because she does fine into most of the champions that are in the game. Shen in isolation against Ornn can do well in the matchup because you can W any type of brittle autos. You can trade well. You can... Like, you do well with Shen into this matchup is what I'm trying to tell you. But in terms of these three champions working together, they're just kind of raising the stock price of magic resistance in this game for the enemy team. Galio gets picked as third, and honestly, Galio is going to get a decent amount of value in this one because you think about his W and how his ult works. He can block some damage, he can buy a Banshee, he can be efficient in this game, even though I think in play-ins Galio has looked quite horrible most of the time. Galio is a very unforgiving champion. You make a couple of mistakes and you're out of the game. This time around in this game it worked. Legacy just looked way better in the team fights, and honestly Raze had a very impressive performance. This Jhin was one of the better Jhins we saw all tournament long, but it definitely helped that Legacy had the far superior draft. Ezreal got locked in, Nautilus. This is very, very magic damage heavy, and I was surprised that Legacy didn't buy more magic resistance. Like I like the Yumo's Ghostblade purchase on Graves, but then maybe, you know, getting Maw is very nice. Any type of magic resistance is just so dirty. Mercury is so dirty against enemy team, and I think Legacy, in terms of their damage output and their gauge capabilities and their play around dragons, I think this is definitely a composition that is going to be much easier to execute. And in this game, Mad Lions managed to fight back because of mechanical skill when it came to Ezreal and Syndra, but it just wasn't enough because Shadow, Orome, and are just heavily underperforming, and Kaiser I had much higher expectations because I put him fifth on my list, and obviously that was a very, very poor choice looking at the level of play we see in this tournament. Now the argument for putting someone else is super, super obvious. And I know a lot of people want to put KoJJ there. I think that makes sense now with the level of play that we've seen. But of course, I don't mind admitting that I made a wrong prediction. There's no way in hell that I'm going to predict everything correctly coming into the World Championship, because there are too many factors at play that I just can't predict. Even in this group stage, that has been so evident. Nevertheless, Legacy, draft victory, magic damage heavy composition, Mad Lions slumping super, super hard. They get caught over and over again. I think the hope for Mad Lions is still Humanoids and Kazi. We continue on to the next game, and this is where we tie into the first conversation that we had. INTZ banned Twitch, Shen, Graves. So the Shen maybe is arguable. Arguable because my thought process was that they are just going to ban the Ornn instead of the Shen. Because the Shen was really nice because of the combination with Twitch and also as a counter into the Wukong. I think Ornn is just a better blind pick. He had Team Liquid, fell for the Lilia trap. They banned Bard, Nidalee, Volibear. Okay, standard bans, but to be honest, banning Volibear over Set is kind of confusing. I think Set is much better for Shinny. It's a champion that he played a lot. I felt like Team Liquid, in terms of how they drafted, it felt like they tried to try something different, because I think in the position they were in, I think they felt quite comfortable to face Legacy or Supermassive once again. I would put my money on them always in that tiebreaker, and I think Team Liquid just tried something different. If they wanted to win this game, obviously picking the Ornn and the set 1, 2, 3 could be the way. Look to pick the Lucian, something like that. Looking at red side, if you remove the Team Liquid name from your screen, if we scroll down just a little bit, then this doesn't really look like a Team Liquid draft, right? This is Team Liquid trying to experiment a little bit with the extra game that they have, because they do indeed miss those best of fives. So all in all, Lilia, we talked about Lilia and her problems. Ashe, I believe Senna is just better than Ashe in play-ins because of ease of execution. It doesn't seem like the teams are getting enough value out of Ashe, and even Senna after her nerfs seems to be super, super strong because once again, it falls on ease of execution. You have time on your side, you can make mistakes in fights, you can itemize very differently. Ashe needs to is almost forced to bully lane because of the nature of the champion. You need to gain a lot of value out of E. You need to make sure that Ash Arrow is valuable early on, because after some time the right itemization lands, the Ash Arrow is going to lose value and so forth, and Ash in a lot of games falls off. Nevertheless, we have the set Senna. So right off the bat, INTZ have some very high quality champion and champions that they enjoy playing super much. I think even from my point of view, not watching that many games of INTZ, this really felt right. And when I saw the Trash third pick, I began to, raise my eyebrows. I thought 3, 4 and 5, 100% they would remove Camille. I felt like Camille was the champion that really tied together the playstyle within INTZ during their stint in the CBLOL. Camille is a perfect champion to roam into mid. I think also Camille in general is just a decent champion, considering Mordekaiser's out, Ornn is out. That forces Team Liquid to pick something like the Renekton, a more of a bully matchup. You have to snowball matchup, and I don't think this is exactly in Team Liquid's wheelhouse. But I just look at this, and I look at this as something experimental. That's what it is. I don't want to put too much fault on Team Liquid because I think the group was in their bag, honestly. In regards to INTZ's play, they managed to find roams into the mid lane. They managed to snap Renekton in half. Later they stumbled a little bit, but INTZ look good in a situation where they need to be the ones forcing the fights. I think Shinny is very good at finding positions. He has like that Hylissang vibe to him. And it became a problem in one of the later games, which we are going to showcase and probably review on this channel. His IFO engages, Redbird's IFO engages, and also Tay's IFO engages are super good. Mikau on a more supportive role, not relying too much on mechanics, I think is a good position to put Mikau in. And I think this is almost like the Exodia draft for INTZ and what they look for. While Team Liquid, if we think of Team Liquid, how they like to play, it is a more controlled style in terms of how they like to approach Graves and mid laners. A mage on mid lane, or like the Orianna Graves is a good example, where they give space to the Orianna to push freely, and that gives them a lot of control over the game. When they have control over the game, they are very good at choosing their moments when they want to fight. I see Team Liquid as a very precise team. I think they are super precise. Other teams at the World Championship that I could call precise would be Damwon. The key thing that Damwon has going on for them is just they are better in terms of diversity, in terms of champions, champion diversity, and also diversity in terms of play style. But TL is a very precise team that usually chooses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decisions within the game, and those decisions are enough to win out matches against teams that are worse than them. While other teams might rely on more decisions, more smaller decisions to build that up, and that in a lot of cases lowers the level of precision, because it's much easier for Team Liquid in their approach to the game to rally around that one big decision. Whether it was the previous game that we showed, this one, when they used the Shen ultimate on Twitch and they just Rakan followed up, it looked like a rehearsed dance almost, the way they engaged, and that's a very good strength to have, because honestly things are looking quite messy in play-ins. We continue on to the last game, LGC versus Supermassive. We have the Ornn first pick, Shen ban, Azir ban, Zoe ban, Lulu, Bolulu got targeted, Camille, Renekton, Twitch. So there was a lot of discussion about potential match fixing, not match fixing, but kind of trolling the draft in a way to make sure that they are the ones that fall lower into the bracket, because they want to avoid LGD, which I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, because I think Unicorns of Love is a legit team. I think Unicorns of Love is a legit team. I think Team Liquid is a legit team. And I think finally PSG is a legit team. I think in regards to the other play-in teams, I am not too impressed. I understand there's a lot of hype around play-in teams, but I think a part of that is because we haven't seen competitive games in quite some time, and at the same time, I think all of the finals across the globe look quite sloppy. This is a very sloppy year of League of Legends, and I don't know how to interpret it. You know, it's so hard to make accurate judgments based off of you know, one game, two game, because that vision of one particular team can shift so heavily in such situations. Think about this, right? Supermassive, super hyped coming into the second day, and then the next day they drop the game against Team Liquid, and that game was pretty damn one-sided for Team Liquid. And then the next game they drop against LGC. Imagine a world where they started off losing against Team Liquid and LGC. What would our opinion of Supermassive be then, right? It's so easy to fall into the trap of rushing to conclusions off of a couple of matches. So I sat down and thought about it, like what teams were actually like legit and consistent and showed a constant soul and a lot of different identities within the game. I think Team Liquid stands above everybody else. I think PSG and Unicorns of Love. I think Unicorns of Love is the second one, even though they lost, of course, against PSG. That was kind of a throw, but that's the nature of best of ones, right? And then PSG finally. And then the rest of the tier list, I think all the other teams come after because of all of the issues they're running into. You know, Arsene have their issues, even though they played a very nice game against Unicorns of Love. LGC also have their issues, even though they played a very nice game against Team Liquid. Winning a best of one against one of these teams that I put in the top three doesn't necessarily, you know, put you amongst them. We have to look at the quality of play. Nevertheless, we take a look at this draft for LGC. Raze, the superstar. I really like this draft. I think it was a good one when it came to the Lilia because they had an AD mid. In a lot of the games we saw Lilia, there was no AD mid. So for example, here there's Twisted Fate and Renekton, which is arguable as Twisted Fate, right? But the enemy team is going to get so much Mercury value here, whatever. Next one, we had the Lilia with the Syndra, Shen, Ezreal, Nautilus, which is... Here we have Supermassive with Lilia and Akali mid. It's just... Lilia is bound to fail in these situations. LGC here, Ornn first pick, Nidalee Wukong gets locked in. I don't think Nidalee Wukong is some incredible 2v2. They did indeed win one game with this, but it was once again against Mad Lions. It is also very important, that discussion, right? Where is the hype built from? Like INTZ got hyped up because they almost beat Mad Lions in the first game. They was like, oh wow, they did well against Mad Lions. But now as that progressed, as we progressed into the tournament, what meaning does that have? Supermassive against Mad Lions, right? They beat them pretty heavily with the Nidalee Wukong, and they snowballed against the Twitch, and they tried to play the Twitch, and this was just Mad Lions throwing something at the wall. And once again, we built a lot of hype around Supermassive because they defeated, once again, Mad Lions. So it's always about, you know, looking back, where did this hype come from? Does it apply? Is it true? This is so tricky when it comes to play-ins that are best of ones. Looking back at it, I'm not too big of a fan of the system that they chose to put here. I understand that there are scheduling difficulties, but single round robin best of ones are really, really dirty and make it very easy for us to get clouded in our mind. We continue with this draft. Ornn, Wukong is not good against Ornn. Like, for all the reasons above, for the same reason Shen is good. Shen is just a ban to make sure Ornn gets value. Wukong gets picked. Wukong Nidalee is not super exciting. Lilia set. We have an AD mid laner. We like that. Lulu gets locked in. I don't understand why you put Lulu into set. It was kind of strange. I really didn't get this. I had no clue why they picked Lulu. Like, maybe Azir is always banned and then Bolulu no champion pool. I don't know. It was very odd to me that he picked Lulu here. Like, it puts everything into question, right? When you look at some of these drafts, like look at the first day draft, okay? So here PSG, Sett, Echo, Senna, and then these champions, they connected so well, right? They connected so well. But then the continuation, here they went Orianna, Ornn, Graves, which turned out to be like just the best champions of playing. So PSG had a very good eye for this, right? So this is a draft victory, and of these two matches, PSG got giga hyped, right? Understandable. I hyped them up too. I fell into that trap too. It isn't necessarily a trap. A trap is a weird way to put it, but it's just how we are building hype from the frame of just a single game. The next time PSG, this draft was just horrible, right? The Renekton first pick, they went into Sett Echo, and it turned it brings the question is like, is there a sense of PSG being a little bit lucky that everything connected the first time with the set and echo, right? It just brings up the question. And this is the tricky part about playing best of ones. It brings up a lot of questions. Supermassive against Mad Lions 2. This was Mad Lions performing horribly. Leona, Wukong, like this is the game where Humanoid ran it down. Mordekaiser also ran it down. And this is where a supermassive hype was built up. I hope my point comes across here that the system is not fair at all when it comes to judging teams. Clearly, you need to look at the fine details. So back to the LGC Supermassive draft. Lulu, I thought was very strange. Like you have Nidalee, Lulu, 2v2 mid. Supermassive don't play 2v2 mid at all, which I think is going to be a weakness for them against Mad Lions, but more on that conversation afterwards. Aphelios gets picked as the AD carry. Like Aphelios always had weaknesses, right? But his weaknesses didn't matter because the champion was so damn OP, right? The amount of shurikens and his ultimates and like everything about the champion, there was just too many what the fuck moments, right? And in Playins, if Aphelios was in such a state of mind, teams would probably struggle with handling him. But Aphelios doesn't have those moments anymore. He can do well in some unique specific situations. Someone hosted me. I'm assuming it's Frosk. I'm assuming it's Frosk. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Sing happy birthday for Raz. Okay, Raz. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Razoplasm. Happy birthday to you. And I don't mind having that in my video. All the best, brother. Take care. Take care. I didn't notice it. I just saw that the viewership shot up. All the best to you, Raz. I wish you health. I wish you happiness. I wish you a pleasant future in your coaching, whatever your next endeavor is. It will be exciting to watch it from the sidelines. And I hope if you continue coaching that we get to face each other one day. All the best, brother. I didn't know it was your birthday. I would have bought you gifts. Maybe next time. Let's let that rest for a little moment. Aphelios, a champion with weaknesses, right? Set, Ornn, Lilia. Maybe the thought process is that Aphelios, maybe can kill tanks or whatever, but Aphelios is a dead champion, honestly. And you're blind picking it. Ezreal Karma, good rotation into it. You can kite and poke. And also, together with the team you already have, it's a very neat and compact composition. Supermassive. Pick Nautilus 5th. Like, at least pick Braum, right? At least pick Braum here, or send Lulu bot and pick something better mid. I don't know, man. Like, it was just strange. Very, very strange draft from Supermassive. I understand why people ask if they are tanking this one specifically, because even in this game, Supermassive was slightly ahead, but then they just tossed the kebab really, really hard on the Rift Herald. You know, it was really, really rough. Really, really rough. It was honestly an absolute disaster. Holy, I got myself hungry now, man. Oof. Really, really hungry. Really, really hungry. Yeah, they could have gone Lulu bot. They could have picked a different mid laner. I don't know, like Orianna. Maybe they could have turbo sped up Aphelios. But I think this came down to the fight at Rift Herald. And then at Drake's, it was just too hard because Aphelios was just too far behind. Supermassive had a very disappointing second day or third day, whatever how you want to see it, fourth day. I think Aphelios is just too outdated, and we've seen this problem before, right? Like a very similar example could be Unicorns of Love in their match against R7. Here's just a lot of outdated champions. You have a lot of power creep happening in League. Skarner, outdated champion. Evelyn is just... She's just all over the place. Cassio against Lucian, very outdated matchup. Lucian can actually win this one because if Lucian can dash, he can win. That's what it is. If Lucian can dash forward, most matchups he wins. That's just the nature of it, right? So this is just a goated draft. Wukong as well, picking it so early. Even though it's a new champion, it's a champion that has weaknesses. Nevertheless, you get some of that sentiment when I say it's a bit of an older champion. Okay. And now on to the tiebreakers. Legacy Esports had some very good drafting in the second day. I think this is what made them come out second in the group. They're very, very solid drafting. I think super nice. Super nice. Super nice. I think without these drafts, I think they wouldn't have ended in this position. Supermassive would have been second. And Legacy definitely stepped up. I think the preparation was good. I think the Ray's individual play was good. They were confident and they rallied around the right things. I think this is a situation where Lilia showcased some of her strength, but it's still a wonky champion. It's still a very wonky champion. I feel like it's a bit undefined still. And she doesn't seem to find her footing. It's like Bambi on ice. You know, she's kind of... Yeah. We continue to the tiebreakers. Mad Lions versus INTZ. We had Mad Lions ban out Bard, Volibear Ornn, Akali Shen Renekton is out, Orianna first pick. So he has a choice, right? Orianna, Graves, or Senna. I think those are the champions that you're looking at. They went for the Senna set. Shinny set was so good against Team Liquid, they just continue with the same. Here they went for the Ezreal because it's just a safe champion that is going to work in a lot of situations and you're not going to be like screwed over in draft. Graves gets picked. This Graves was pretty disappointing within the game. Like Seth was out farming Graves. Like this game was in a very, very bad state for Mad Lions. Let's be honest. I don't understand why I made an accent. I got an accent when I said that. I have no clue why. Camille gets picked. I was very surprised that Camille got through. I don't understand this Volibear ban. Like, why on earth are you banning Volibear? Like, I think the Volibear win ratio of this tournament is non-existent. Like, it's goddamn dirty. I don't know why you ban Volibear. Just remove the damn Camille. Or unless you have something very specific planned against Camille that is not Wukong. Why would you? Why would you? Why would you? Graves, Ezreal, Orianna is a decent first three pick, but you need a tonk. You know, you need simplicity. Play-in teams, Mad Lions. Like we're putting the play-in teams in two brackets. Okay, we have Unicorns of Love, Team Liquid, and PSG, and then we have all the other teams. And then I put an extra star on the teams that have managed to get wins without Ornn. Usually that's Camille. INTZ, I think most of the success comes based off the Camille champion pick. When they get to Roman to mid, with their support, I think they are super happy. This Volibear ban, I think, should have been a Camille ban or maybe a Camille pickup. Imagine if you're underperforming. At least we had this, for example, in Sandbox. Players were willing to be honest about, their performance. That's so important to have honest conversations with your players about your performance. You shouldn't build and really, accept fake ego, or ego at all in this case. I think it's a very important discussion to have. Of course, I'm only speculating and I don't know what it comes down to, all of these teams. But imagine a world where, they recognize that Camille is a very strong pick. Seth is most likely going jungle. Imagine here they just go for Camille Sejuani. Very easy to execute. Right? Can pick Camille Sejuani. Tough to lose when the game goes on longer with Orianna, Seth, Sejuani. I mean, Sejuani and Camille. Sorry. Right? That could be an example of lowering your ego and making it more simple for Shadow to play the game. But they go for Ezreal Graves, which is fine too, if the continuation was correct. Camille gets picked and they ban Mordekaiser Jax. I think putting Oroma in skill matchups is like an example of, you know, you're not covering for the underperformance of a player. A player underperforming is fucking normal. It happens. It happens. It happens, right? It happens, and no player at all, you know, should feel terrible over it, right? They should be able to have honest discussions with their teammates about these champions. Like, oh, I'm underperforming, guys. We should make it more easy for me. Let's look to how is the best way for us to win this game, all right? Like my for example, in Sandbox, okay? We are preparing against Genji. My bot lane is not going to sit there and say that, oh, right now in our current form, we're going to beat the shit out of Rule and Life, right? We have that discussion openly, right? Because these discussions are important to have. You need to be honest with each other. And I think looking at the performances that we've seen, right? That we've seen from outside, it seems like putting Orome into a skill matchup is a mistake, right? But of course, there's a lot of other things that are happening within a team. So this is all speculation. I'm not talking about Mad Lion specifically. It's just about, you know, you as a viewer, you can learn from this situation. Just because if we look at Kog'Maw getting picked, this is a Kog'Maw mid, right? Senna has to go bot. Plain and simple, lock in the fucking mall fight, right? You lock in mall fight here, and then boom, rock solid. You're very happy. Boom, mall fight. Why mall fight? Because the enemy is Camille. You can be fine against it. You'll do fine in the matchup. You're going to lose split later. But how many games has INTZ won through split push? They want to team fight, and they want to engage, and they want to find fights. It's just Wukong, sure, in some cases could be fine against the Kog. It is some sense of an engage. It can be fine into Camille too. But once again, skill matchup. That's the problem. That's the caveat, right? If this is 369 playing Wukong, I'll be like, yeah, that's fine. That's okay. Another reason why you would want to pick Malphite is the synergy together with Graves. Beautiful. Synergy together with Orianna. Beautiful, right? Doesn't need to even fucking be talked about. Camille can do fine into Malphite. Like, I don't think it's like a counter in lane. It's just that Malphite ult is so fucking premium that you just lock it into the Kog and whatever. The power level of Malphite and Camille within lane shifts depending on item points. It shifts completely on item points. Another reason why Malphite is so good here, the enemy has Senna, so there's no fucking tank. You just need to hard engage because slow fights you're going to lose. Leona gets locked in, so that gives Tamken's value. This is also arguable if this is correct. Because imagine you go Malphite and then let's say a Karma here. That could be super, super juicy. I think one champion that I want to see more, that maybe the playing supports don't like playing, but I think Gragas support is hidden OP. I think some of the very, very talented mechanical bot laners like Korea or Life are going to be very ready to play Gragas. And if you pick Gragas here, holy shit, imagine Malphite Gragas. Ooh, how can you lose? How can you lose? Holy shit. Malphite Gragas. Pfft. Oh. Nevertheless, we continue. I hope we get to see some Gragas, some Life Gragas, some Mickey Gragas. There's a lot of Gragases out there. Gragai. There's a lot of Gragais. We continue. This video is going to be a long one. Team Liquid versus LGC. You know, this game, Mad Lions won, but did they really win? Let's be honest. This game, INTZ got ahead. They had an advantage. And the reason I mentioned before that Shinny is very similar to Hilisang, he's very good at finding engages, but he needs an off switch. We need to say, Shinny, calm down, brother. Just peel the Wukong. Wukong comes in, toss him like a pizza dough. Boom. No problem. Toss him like a pizza dough. Just peel it. Relax. Camille the same way. Relax. Don't go in. Let Kog'Maw do some work. Another thing to highlight about this game is INTZ didn't funnel enough farm into the Kog. They should be like, give everything to Kog. Kog'Maw, you want Raptors? Here, I prepared them for you. They're low. You just need to shoot one ult. Wolves 2, blue, Gromp, bro. Take Gromp. Top wave, bot wave, mid wave. Everything. Take everything. Camille can also farm. Camille is acceptable. But Senna is gonna be like, no problem. I eat souls. I eat souls. I get more souls. More souls. But what happened in this game? INTZ were ahead. They were approaching soul point. But what happened was they ran it. Like Seth and Tom even Tom, Seth, Tom and Camille couldn't calm down. And then through the sheer force of like Humanoid just farming side lane, he was like 400 CS at one point, had 4 items. If he touched anyone, they kind of disappeared. He was like a walk-in nuke. And that was the key reason as to why Mad Lions won. You know, Mad Lions took this game, but it was a bit of a robbery. It was a stick up. We continue. This one was, you know, I was so high on the orange juice that I began to forget, you know, how you can actually beat Ornn. You know, I had this thought process and this thinking idea that when it comes to, of course, the play-in draft situation. Play-in draft situation, we're talking Team Liquid or all the play-in teams. Simplicity is king. That's why Orianna is king, Ornn is king. But these champions are counterable, right? They're not 100% win ratio all over the world before this patch hit, right? They weren't 100% win ratio. There is ways to deal with Ornn. And I was really high on the Ornn juice, and coming into this game, I saw the Ornn Kindred lock in. But Team Liquid prepared a very, very nice and beautiful draft into it. You know, here we have the Graves first pick, which to me, honestly, I don't understand why this Azir ban came in. Why was the Azir ban here? Maybe their idea was they want to trade Ornn Graves, but giving Graves up, ay. This is the last time Broxah played Graves at this tournament. I assure you. I can bet €5. Who's going to take that bet? €5? €5 that Broxah is not going to play Graves ever again in this tournament. Because when Broxah played Lee Sin, wasn't there? When Broxah played Lilia, oof, they lost to INTZ. Oof. Right? Let's let that sink for a moment as the crescendo of the music lands. Yeah? I'm feeling like I'm getting my energy back while I'm making the video, you know? Okay, Graves get picked, Ornn Kindred. Boom. Impact Shen. Good matchup into Ornn, right? Good matchup into Ornn. Syndra gets locked in. Decent blind pick, Orianna Azir is out. And when you're picking Galio into Syndra, I know that LGC had success with it before, but that Syndra was pretty strong in that game, right? This is not a winning matchup for Galio. Not a winning matchup for Galio at all. Picking Galio into Graves is tough. I understand that LGC wanted to go for like a wombo combo situation again, and I can admit, when I saw this, you can even find my tweet. When you can find my tweet, I was happy with their draft. But then as the game progressed, I was like, honestly, would I be happy with these drafts if I put some better names, like if this wasn't play-ins, if this was groups or like a quarterfinals, would I be happy with this draft? No, I would think Team Liquid's draft would win every time. And this was just me being too high on Ornn juice. I was just so high on Ornn juice, which is understandable because Ornn was winning every game up until this point. So I really like that Team Liquid had something in store for it. They prepared super well. They had the Shen, they had the Syndra ready, and then Galio gets picked into it. And then Syndra Graves is just so much stronger in terms of the 2v2. You notice we didn't evaluate these things when it comes to the other teams. Unicorns of Love, PSG, and Team Liquid, these are the things that we have to evaluate, like the 2v2s and how it pans out. So Graves Syndra against Galio Kindred is an easy win for Syndra and Graves. They can choose their fights really easily. It is just a stronger 2v2, no problem. Bard Kalista gets banned, Kalista targeted, Ezreal Senna, and this is the first Caitlyn I think we saw all tournament long, which is surprising. I think Caitlyn is still good. And then Braum blind pick to counteract the Ornn, and then Team Liquid through the sheer force of just being so much stronger early, winning topside matchup, winning jungle matchup in the early. Kindred has some tools, it depends on lane, right? Syndra wins into Galio, and then Caitlyn Braum against Jhin and Rakan is just arguable. It's just arguable. And this was Team Liquid really stomping their foot down on LGC's throat, similar to how they did it in the first game, because Team Liquid was just so much better than everyone else in this group on an individual level. And when they had a draft that was good, no other team had a chance. And props to Team Liquid. Props to Team Liquid. I think they stepped up big time. And I think partially a lot of the teams also dropped the ball. Mad Lions specifically. I think the other teams did fine in their showing, right? LGC did it fine. I think Mad Lions just completely dropped the ball, and they just couldn't handle the stage pressure. We'll just get to see how it progresses into the best of 5. Mad Lions have 24 hours to get their shit together. Anyhow, you see the final standings over here. Pretty cool. Pretty wild. I think in terms of expectations, I think Supermassive it performed at the level that I expected. I think Legacy stole a couple of wins. Honestly, I don't want to be rude to them, but I think draft wins are kind of steal wins, because in best of ones they work and the next one they're not going to work. It's not something that you can easily replicate unless you have like Draft Kingdom after Draft Kingdom and you have the biggest champion pool ever. Like sure, right? Sure. Like this preparation skill is something that's going to matter, but I think it's going to run out of steam when it comes to the best of 5. And in these best of ones, you know, it worked. It worked. I just want to talk about the potential groups here. Boom. So on one side, we have Supermassive, Mad, and UL. So to most people's surprise, I think that I'm going to lean towards Mad Lions here. The reason I believe so is I think Bolulu is a bit of a weakness, and I think Humanoid is the strength of Mad Lions, and I think in best of 5s, I really feel like Mad Lions can get their shit together. I think they can get their shit together. Supermassive on day 2 looked quite awful. I hope, you know, the secret to Mad Lions winning, right? Like this series is going to come down to draft, 100%. It's going to 100% come down to draft. Mad Lions don't recognize that top lane should be an island, should be GP 1 trick, Ornn 1 trick, Shen, Malphite, just pick him that shit, play into bottom side, let Shadow play Set or maybe Lee Sin, just fucking comfort, no problem, you know, and you'll be good. Supermassive, why they showed depth. You know, in the first game, I was like, wow, this is interesting. They found like an interesting counter to Twitch. But in reality, it was what they just wanted to play all along. They just wanted to blind pick Wukong. Because they kept doing it today. They kept blind picking Wukong today. Maybe Armo just loves Wukong. That's why it's so crazy. Because on the first day, it was like, wow, this is some really, really good drafting. But on the second day, they kept drafting the same. And all the reasons as to why their picks were good in that moment, like the previous moment, didn't really apply in the next one. So this is what was so confusing. But at the same time, Mad Lions, they shouldn't be here. They shouldn't be in this best of 5. But I feel like a best of 5 allows them the freedom of mistakes. And I think individually, just Kaiser and Humanoid, I lean towards them. I'm going to be on the analyst desk, so I'm probably going to suffer through 5 games. I think either way, right now, if we see the continuation, if you want me to make a prediction right now, I think Unicorns of Love is going to beat either one that is going to come into a best of 5 against them. The reason I say so is because Unicorns of Love will have time to dissect a full best of 5 potentially. They're going to see all of those games, and they are a team that has enough depth in their champion pools to honestly really, really create something specific towards them. Because now Mad Lions and possibly Supermassive, they are on the ropes, right? How much depth in terms of their preparation can they really create within 24 hours? And I think Unicorns of Love had many creative drafts, and I think that makes them super dangerous, especially when they get to see 5 of your goddamn games. So I'm leaning towards Unicorns of Love to win that side of the bracket. The bottom side of the bracket, LGD is blessed. LGD is very, very blessed. I think against R7, I think Josito from Rainbow 7, my man, he's doing good. He's doing good. He's doing bits. But I'm getting all of that hype of a one Evelyn game. So maybe if the bans start to land in his direction and Peanut, doesn't run it down, maybe LGD can win. Because an interesting stat is that LGD was ahead of most of the games that they lost. Their mid to late game was just terrible. If they find, if they can sacrifice lanes just a little bit in order to make sure that they, are stronger in mid to late game and they just pick greedy drafts, I honestly think that LGD can be decent. I think if you look at most of their matchups, their lane phases were honestly pretty good. I think the only problem is potentially their bot side. And if you look at some of the strengths that LGD showed in the regular season, it was the cooperation between Mark and Peanut. We want to see that revived again. If I have to choose one, I have to apologize to R7 fans. I think I'm going to lean towards LGD. But there is 100% a real chance that LGD continue to drop the ball right on top of their feet made out of glass. The glass foot is broken, boom, they can't walk, they stumble, they fall downstairs, and then boom, there we go, R7 makes it through, right? R7 showed a beautiful game against Unicorns of Love, but that is once again when Unicorns of Love drafted meh. And the game between R7 the first time they faced, that was a silly ass game, man. We didn't review it on this channel because I wanted to save everyone. I wanted to save everyone from the pain. And I think it is easy to overhype R7 after the defeat, after the victory of Unicorns of Love. I just saw someone in the chat writing Mark is out. What does that mean, Mark is out? Mark is out. Mark benched. Okay. Well, I don't know who's playing. Kahlua is in. I don't know what's going on. Kahlua is playing. Well, I don't know too much about Kahlua, so whatever. I think LGD is going to take it. It's just a natural choice. I think they showcase that they are strong laners, and I think their problem is so fucking obvious. And they can get really greedy when it comes to their champion picks when it comes to the mid to late game. But of course, R7, they showed in that Exodia draft that they have a good eye of how to piece compositions together. So I don't think it's going to be easy in any shape or form. This is definitely going to be a test for LGD, and R7 definitely have a chance to win out. I think LGD is going to go all the way in this group. That's going to be crazy to some people. It's going to be crazy to some people because the way LGD got here, they also cheated death. Like the drafts that V3 threw at them were really troll. And the one game they won to get the tiebreaker was with an Ornn. An Ornn is a little cheat code unless you're playing against Team Liquid. And I think LGD, I think they're completely asleep. They need to be half awake, to show just a bit of potential. And I think that's not too much to ask for because they get a full break and then they get to play the best of 5 late in the day. So maybe today they are scrimming, maybe today they are practicing with the new support. I see people are writing, but all in all, of course, Legacy Esports is waiting for them in the best of 5, and I think the fact that Legacy got the second seed makes this an easier journey for everyone. I think Legacy won off of their drafts. I don't think necessarily individually that they're that great. And I think they can run into similar issues against LGD on an individual level in the same way as they ran into issues against Team Liquid on an individual level. You could take a look at LGD's game against Unicorns of Love. That was just them throwing it super, super hard, which is possible, I just want to make it clear that LGD is a sleeping dragon. But this is a dragon that took, sleeping pills and was up for 78 hours playing video games, RuneScape, chopping trees, leveling fire making, cooking tuna. They were knocked out, they're super knocked out. But if they wake up, they are dangerous again. Another point to add, just to add to the final discussion, because I've made my predictions for how things are going to pan out. This little thing. So if you are a Team Liquid fan, what you're hoping for is for Mad Lions to... Wait, is it Mad Lions? Let me think. So Mad Lions get through. So basically, if you're Team Liquid, you want to land in Group A, right? You don't want to land in Group B. And the thing is, PSG can't land in Group A. So if Mad Lions qualify, they would automatically slot in Group D. Then there would be no change, right? There would be no change. Because Mad Lions would have to go in Group D. Team Liquid can't go in Group C. And they will go in Group A. You want Mad to win as a Team Liquid fan. Team Liquid have the best chances in Group A. Because you have some teams that can drop best of ones here, honestly. You have some teams that can drop best of ones. TL can go in B though. PSG cannot go in Group A, guys. Machi Esports is PCS. PSG and Machi Esports can't be in the same group. PSG actually, sorry guys. I've been saying it all wrong. Team Liquid want LGD to win. Yeah, LGD win. Sorry, it's not... Scratch everything I said. The people in the chat corrected me. LGD needs to win. I don't think they need both. Because let's think about this for a second. People are saying in the chat that they need both. So think about this. Only LGD qualify. It means they go in Group C, which means that okay, they actually need Mad too. Whatever, man. Let's just skip this portion of the video. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This video has gone on too long. I'm too tired. Just open it. Open it. If you're a Team Liquid fan, God bless you. I hope you for the best. You can't fucking control it anyway. Why are we having this discussion? I don't know, man. I don't know why I wanted to add it. I just coin flipped it. Tomorrow I need to wake up at 5 a.m. What's up with that, man? What's up with me being forced to wake up at 5 a.m.? I had to wake up at 6 a.m. this morning. And then I'm sitting there hoping for no tiebreakers. I'm not even lying. I'm just, no tiebreakers. I want to go home. So I can do the summary. Oh, man. I'm just gonna let go of the video here. All the best, guys. I hope you enjoyed the summary of day 4 and a bit of a prediction when it comes to day number 5 and 6. I'm going to be on the analyst desk once again. I get invited over and over. Riot Games did me dirty. They put me on all the days that are for sure going to go super long. I wasn't on the first day of Playins, which was a day without tiebreakers for sure. And then the second day they put 7 games straight. Right? They put 7 games. Boom, that's a long day. And then the next day, boom, tiebreakers. Next day, tiebreakers. And then the next 2 days, well, tomorrow, 2 best of 5s. So that's 10 games possible, which is honestly high chance, 10 games. And then I see 1 best of 5, and then they gave me the break in the last best of 5. So they gave me the chill days off. Anyhow, I don't mind. I'm a workhorse, and I'm always going to be back here to give you guys the summaries. No problem. I'm gonna be there at 5 a.m. Whoa! I hope the breakfast is gonna be lit. Thank you so much for watching, guys. This video is way too long. Let's end it right at 1 minute. 1, 2. If you sneeze during this video, bless you and bye-bye.